Interviews. Actor and coach extraordinaire Kyle Post. Welcome to Laura Heywood Interviews. I'm Laura Heywood. My guest today is best known for his years in Kinky Boots, playing a long-legged angel, one of Lola's devoted drag queen sidekicks. He's also played both Roger and Mark in Rent and was in the cast of Spider-Man: Turn Off the Dark. He's also a life and career coach, having worked with Broadway performers, fitness professionals, business insiders, and all manner of people at all stages of their careers looking to maximize their place in the world. But unlike other life coaches, he wants to talk about the weird. His program is called The Weirdos Way and is especially fascinating to me since I personally identify as a proud weirdo. And I tend to bond most with other people who do, too. Today, we're going to talk about all of that, especially how you can embrace your inner weirdo and use that weirdness to help you soar to higher heights than you ever could have imagined. Kyle Post, welcome to Laura Heywood Interviews.
Yay! Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Especially weird today.
Thank you for all
By
of you
which I
listeners.
mean amazing.
Yes, for all of you listeners, I have a lady blouse on that I bought in Sicily, Italy, that has it's orange and chiffon, and it's got seals playing beach ball on it.
Plus, it has a built-in scarf.
Yeah, like a strange little neckerchief, if you will.
Yeah, the neckerchief.
Yeah.
But it like weaves into the collar. We're going to have to post some photos for sure.
For sure.
This is so exciting for me. You know, I feel like in the Broadway industry in particular, we're starting to hear more about embracing your inner weirdo. You know, like Ben Platt's Tony speech referenced it. He said, what was it? The things that make you...
I have it.
Gosh.
I have it on my phone.
I know, and I like sincerely apologize that I don't have it memorized. But he referenced it, and Ariel Stachel referenced being different and using that to, you know, to be. It turns out to be your superpower. You know, there are all of these cultural references now to sort of embracing your authenticity, and I think so many people lose their authenticity in the quest to be quote unquote normal, and as a result, they end up being kind of, we all end up being carbon copies of each other to a certain degree. I think about it as, you know, if you're just like everybody else, and I'm using Broadway as a metaphor, not necessarily just talking about Broadway, but if you're a carbon copy of everybody else, you might make it to Broadway and become a chorus girl. Mm-hmm. But unless you have something weird about you, something exceptional, you're never going to be the leading lady.
Totally.
And while I know plenty of amazing people in Broadway choruses, and I have zero shade to throw on any of them because that is hard enough to get there. Plus, I know enough leading ladies who have made their way through the chorus too. Yep. I'm just saying, be that leading lady on or off stage, whether it's, you know, whether it's in your professional life, in your personal life, in your romantic life, in your family life. Exactly. Just loud, proud, and out in front. That's what I say.
Honey, as they say in the show Kinky Boots that I heard over 2,500 times.
Oh my God.
Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken.
Yeah, and then there's what RuPaul always says, where it's like, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love anybody else?
And I get an amen.
Amen.
Well, and I like what you were talking about as well. It's like, take it into your performance, take it into your auditions, take it into your romantic life, take it into like every area of your life, because my guess is all of us are a little weird, actually.
I know that for a fact.
Yes, facts.
Who wants to be the only normal person in the world? And even if you are, that makes you weird.
Exactly. Well, and it's like, if there's a bunch of weirdos out there and we're all hiding our weirdness, everyone else who is actually weird feels more alone.
That's right.
Instead of feels more seen. Like, I met you and I was like, immediately, I was like, she's weird.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
like her. And I felt like I could be myself around you.
Oh, I thought that's like the best compliment you could give me, because I don't want to know anybody else. I don't want to know some fake version of you.
Yep.
I want to know who you really are. And that includes if you're having a hard day, if you like, you know, if you are feeling sad, if you're feeling like insecure, if you're feeling fabulous. Like, I think a lot of times it's not that people don't want to share their difficulties. It's that they don't want to share how badass they think they are.
Yes.
And one of my like breakthroughs of being what, as I call myself, a proud weirdo, is that it's okay to like myself.
Hallelujah.
It's okay to like myself and hate myself at the same time, and to
yeah,
go
within
back
seconds,
and forth.
oftentimes, actually.
Do you remember? Did you ever do when you were really little? I feel like I did this maybe in preschool, where you'd like get a bucket of water and drip colors of paint.
And they turn all different colors.
Float on the water and sort of start to swirl together.
Yes, and you can take a toothpick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yes, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I love crafts.
That's sort of how I feel personalities work, is we're trying so hard to be one color when really we're this just changing, shifting landscape of all sorts of colors that weave in and out. And sometimes there's a giant swath of one thing, and sometimes, the two colors combine and become something new, and it's never static.
Yep. But if we're trying to be like, I'm blue,
right,
and that's all I am is blue.
Right.
And I'll only ever be blue. It's like, oh no, you're missing out on every other color, Dorothy.
And maybe there are people who are just one color, and that's okay too. I think it gets dangerous when we try to change, I'm switching metaphors, when we try to change our stripes to spots, or when we, if we go, well, everyone I've ever seen be successful was blue.
Hallelujah.
So I wish I was blue, or I need to try to pretend to be blue.
And you're purple.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. Be a mixture, be glitter. I mean, I'm definitely glitter.
Oh yeah, it's deep within your bones.
It is. Wow.
Mine as well.
I feel so
glitter
sweet.
And confetti. Yeah.
For me, I could do without confetti. I mean, I love it when it showers down on me, but then I wake up with it stuck to parts of my body that how in the world did it get there?
Yeah, it's the herpes of crafting.
See? And you say you're into it. I don't get it. But anything that sparkles, and that's anything like in nature, if I see sunlight glittering off of water, I can just stare at it. And anything that I will stop and stare and watch guys do construction or people do construction because they're those fire. The welding machines that they do.
Yes. What you're saying is you're easily distracted.
I'm saying I like things that sparkle and shine. Anyway, we got off track, but I will tell you this. Regular listeners of Laura Heywood interviews know that I very consciously named the show after myself, after my real name. I have this very recognizable brand called Broadway Girl. And man, if you were looking for a Broadway podcast and you never heard of me and you searched Broadway and you found the Broadway Girl cast, you would click that. It would be a way for me to get a lot more listeners.
Yep.
And I was not here for it. I wanted something where I could be like, I don't know what my brand is going to be tomorrow. I don't know that Broadway's the only thing I want to talk about.
Yeah. You wanted to use all the colors in the
that's right. And
drips.
I've been struggling with this lately because I love my Broadway Girl life, but I also, I used to work for professional sports organization, and I'm really into neurology and evolutionary biology. That's all I read about in my spare time, and
cool.
I'm getting ready to do some travel, and I want to be able to talk about that. And nobody puts baby in a corner. I don't want to be put in a box. I want to be weird in all my colors.
Well, it sounds like to me you want the experience of being all of you, not a portion of you or a fraction of you. You want to have the experience of being wholly all of you.
Right.
That's fierce.
I like the idea of people can take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And if they decide to leave it, then that tells me everything I need to know about them and tells me nothing about me.
Oh, honey, you got it.
Should I be teaching the Weirdos Way?
Back off.
Tell me about the Weirdos Way and how you got there.
Okay, well, how far back should I go? Okay,
let's let people get to know you. You can go back as far. We have an hour. You could tell.
Well, let's hit it. There I was. Okay, everyone, settle into whatever
Start
chair.
with your conception.
Whatever chair you're on, or Equinox machine you're working out on.
No more Equinox.
Oh yeah, good point.
We do Mark Fisher Fitness.
Oh, yeah.
Although please don't be listening to podcasts at Mark Fisher Fitness.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're on your treadmill wherever you are,
and if you're
your
at Equinox, leave because we're not doing that anymore. Yeah. Okay, so
the only fitness we promote actively here is
Mark Fisher Fitness.
Fitness.
They're actually the best. I love.
Well, we also
adore,
know each other from there.
Them.
So
yeah, love them. Okay. Anyway, I feel like we are going to get on so many side squirrely tangents.
We're going to actually accomplish nothing today.
Cool.
We're going to have to come back,
and that's okay.
But we can start down any road we want and see
I'm
going to
start at the very beginning because it's a very good place to start.
That's true.
I'm going to start with where I grew up. So I grew up in the middle of nowhere in Holland, Michigan.
Did you grow up on a gravel road?
On a gravel road, and we owned goats. It's almost like I have this on a website. We actually owned goats, like pygmy goats. Like,
were they the cutest?
They're cutest, and we bottle fed them, and they would like follow us around like little puppies. It was so cool. So I grew up in the middle of nowhere, and I always loved theater. I was like, a theater dork. I would wake up in the morning and think about musicals, and I would go to bed and I would think about musicals.
So you clearly had them in the house. Were your parents into the theater?
No, not really. They came to all of my shows.
But how did you even find out about it?
I did church plays. Like, I'm the youngest of 4. So my sisters were always dressing me up. Like, it was always, they were always like parading Kyle around when company came. And I think at a young age, I determined, well, there's 4 of us. Here's my niche. My niche is being, the eccentric, loud, funny one. And that's how I'll get attention. And it worked. So I grew up in the middle of nowhere and did every school play. I was, what's his name in the Scarlet Pimpernel?
Douglas Sills.
Percy. Yes, that one.
I only
Douglas
know the
Sills.
actor. I can never remember the character.
Yes, I was, did all the school plays. And I remember at one point walking into my parents' living room and shaking like a leaf and saying, Mom, Dad, I want to go to school for musical theater. I want to be on Broadway and I want to go to school for it. Mm-hmm. I was so nervous about what they're going to say. And they turned to me and they said, oh, we're so glad you said that. You're too talented not to try.
Oh my gosh, Mom and Dad, I love you.
Good job, Mom and Dad.
They said, you see your weirdness and we see
they were
your
like,
weirdness
yes,
too.
Go promote that weirdness. Shine your weirdness bright. And so I didn't know that people auditioned for 20 musical theater schools at one time. I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't either.
I didn't know that was a thing. I auditioned for one school. I auditioned for Baldwin Wallace Conservatory of Music, and it's a great program. But someone just literally was like, this is a good school, Kyle. You should go there. I'm like, okay, cool. And I was terrified. I didn't know what a best 16 was. I had never taken a dance class. I didn't know what a headshot was. I didn't know any of that stuff because, again, gravel road, #pygmy goats. Nobody knew what that was.
What's a best 16?
A best 16. It's like your best.
I don't know what it is.
It's like your best when you're 16. No, it's like your best 16 measures of a song that you could sing and be like, ba 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 bum. At an audition, and they're like, "Oh, okay, cool. That's you. That's who you are."
I'd never heard that
in
term
16
before.
In 16 bars. Who are you, and basically what high note can you sing? You're welcome. Education, and I remember thinking I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know how to do this audition, and I'm terrified. And I was in my red Volkswagen Jetta, and it was the old school kind, the boxy kind, and I was crying. Driving at 16 years old, and I said, please, whoever or whatever is out there, please send someone down to help me. Send someone down to help me on my journey because I don't know what I'm doing and I'm terrified.
So this was a religious thing for
yes.
you.
Yeah, totally. And in that second, I made a promise. I said, if I ever get all of the things that I said that I want to get, if I ever get all the things that I said that I want to, that I'm dreaming of, I promise I'll be it for somebody else. I will be what I'm asking for someone else, I promise.
Oh my gosh, and now you are.
At 16. And so fast forward, I moved to New York City. I was in Rent on Broadway. I got to close out the company.
Hang on, before I want to take a little sidetrack.
Okay, sidetrack us.
Sidetrack number 1.
Yeah.
When you were at Baldwin Wallace, did you were in Kate Rockwell's class, right?
Yes, I was.
Did you guys do shows together?
Yes, we did.
Who else did you work with there? I know Steele Burkhart went there.
Steele Burkhart, Kate Rockwell, Jill Pace, although Jill went to school before I did, but we became friends afterwards.
There are some amazing people who've come out. The classes of 13 and 14 are amazing. I just did an event with Chris McCarroll recently and Caitlin Houlihan, who's just returning to Waitress.
Colton, who's doing Girl from North Country.
Yep, and Sierra Renee, who I just saw in The Wrong Man at MCC.
Yes, Corey Mock. There were 7 Baldwin Wallace graduates who did Kinky Boots.
Wow.
Not all on Broadway, but across, between the tour and Broadway, there were 7 BW grads.
That's amazing.
And side note, BW is going to be the first college to do Kinky Boots ever this fall.
Oh my gosh, yay!
And they're flying back all of the Kinky Boots alumni to come and watch it.
Are
So
you gonna
I'm going to be a hot mess crying.
I feel like they should fly you back to like do master class with them before they go.
I do coaching master classes with them.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh, perfect. Okay. First.
Okay, getting back on the
detour
road.
off, yep.
Yeah, getting
We
back
just
on
stopped
the
for gas.
on ramp. Back on the on ramp. Okay, great. We've got Slim Jims and we're ready to go. So I moved to New York. I worked at Bubblegum Shrimp Company for 5 weeks. It's a lovely establishment. I don't recommend working there.
You are not the only Broadway star that I have talked to
It's a
who
thing.
worked there.
It's a thing.
And I think that means we need to be looking for our next Broadway superstars
At
Bubblegum
Bubblegum.
Shrimp. I have never been there.
You've
never been back?
Nope. I never looked back. So I worked at Bubblegum Shrimp Company for 5 weeks. I booked rent like right when I moved to the city. Understudied Mark Roger, and got to close the company of that.
Is it weird that I feel like you're too tall to play Mark? I mean,
definitely.
Who says he has to be short? Who says he has to have any specific
I'm gangly.
look?
You know what I mean? It's like it was the
just
gangliest
think of
Mark
Roger
ever.
as tall and Mark as short.
Yeah.
But like, that's just my own short-sightedness.
Yeah. You're. I was trying to think of a word for it. Anyway, moving on. So then I did a small show no one's ever heard of called Spider-Man: Turn Off the Dark.
And
Just no publicity about that one at all. And
were you in the
understudied a
original
bunch of people.
company?
Yeah, original company. So I
you
saw
were around
all
for the
the
geek
things.
chorus.
I understudied the geek chorus, and I went on for 2 different members of the geek chorus.
I am very proud that I got to see the geek chorus 3 times.
Ooh.
I saw that show so many times.
Ooh.
You know what? Like, they sold some tickets, and
They
I
sure
was
did.
some of those
and
tickets.
you were 3 of them at least. Yeah.
More than 3. I think I saw it 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
Because once I'd seen, so for people who don't know, the geek chorus was a part of the show that sort of acted like narrators, and they were geeks. They were, were they reading a comic book or writing a comic book?
It's all a good question.
But like Gideon Glick,
They were writing it, yeah.
and Alice Lee.
Yeah.
I can't remember who the others were.
TV Carpio was an original one actually, and then a
Oh,
lot
really?
of things moved
before
around.
she became the Arachne.
Yep.
See, I still know so much about this show. No need to be like bashful about this credit, by the way. I mean,
Yeah. Oh no, I'm proud of it. But
Okay.
it's always anytime I say I was in Spider-Man, people's faces go a little bit white, and then I show them my wrists, and I'm like, I don't have any broken bones.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
fine. And then they move on.
I had the opportunity to say this to Julie Taymor's face, and I'm so glad I did. We need our geniuses to take risks.
Yeah.
And if they are taking risks big enough,
They might
eventually
fall flat.
Yeah, like you can't every step out of the door cannot be Lion King.
Hallelujah.
And I don't want my heroes to be safe. Even if thank goodness we have people who are creating big things that big.
Yep.
There's no such thing as too big to fail, but there is such thing as too scared to fail, and
Yep,
that means
too
we
small
don't
to
get
fail,
we
too-
don't get brilliant work if people aren't taking risks. So good on her. And I mean, I was saying this when the show was in, having all that controversy. Like, thank goodness we have people who are out there putting themselves out.
Well, that's what theater's supposed to do at the end of the day, right? Is like make you think. Maybe you disagree with it. Maybe you know what I mean. Like
or
it
maybe
stretches
you'll have a
what's possible.
spectacular failure.
Yeah.
And I didn't use the word spectacular failure to her face.
Yeah.
But I did say, I want my heroes to take risks.
Yeah.
And anybody who understands what risk means knows that you can't hit a home run every single time you're up at bat.
Yep, it's impossible.
So, detour over.
Broop, on ramp.
Back to the on-ramp.
Second
on-ramp.
Slim Jim. Okay. I don't know why every time I'm imagining us getting a Slim Jim at a gas station every time we
Okay.
get on the off ramp.
Whatever you like.
Hashtag weird. So I left Spider-Man to do Kinky Boots. And I was in Kinky Boots for like a year and a half, and I was on the Tonys at Radio City. I did the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I did The View. I was on the original Broadway cast, recording. I was on all the promos. I was on the side, plastered on the side of a double-decker bus
That
with
is
just
amazing.
me in full beat drag. Kinky, Kyle Post, full beat drag, Boots, double-decker bus. Like,
Wow.
and I think it was actually.
Did you do a photo shoot in front of one of the?
Of course, I
Okay.
ran down the street.
Uh-huh.
I would find tourists and be like, "You see that bus? That's me."
And they'd be like, that's a woman.
and I was like, "Exactly, yeah." So I think it was about the time of the double decker bus that I was like, "Oh wow, I did it." And I was like, "Wow, I have really done everything I dreamed of." And I went, "Oh wow, I've really done everything I dreamed of."
How terrifying.
And then I thought, I have a promise to live up to. It's time. And it was really scary because I was like, oh, this is something that I like made, and I meant it. I meant the promise that I made. I will help others get where I got if I ever really get there. And 16-year-old Kyle didn't know I would get where I got. He couldn't have even dreamed of where I got. And there I was. So I was like, okay, all right. You know, Oprah says, like, listen to the little voice in your head before it becomes like a knock on your head, before it becomes a slap, before it becomes a brick upside your head. And the little voice was like, you need to go to school and learn how to become a life coach. You need to like go get training to learn how to do this.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I think so many people think of life coaching as this woo-woo, like, you know, believe in yourself, like affirmation program.
Yeah. That someone just makes up in, you know, because they feel like saying, oh, I'm now a life coach.
Yeah.
Like, no, I took 6 months of training in between here and San Francisco. And, you know, it was I left
thing.
Kinky Boots for a while to be able to get training in being a coach.
It's, you know, there's a play on Broadway right now called Linda Vista, which one of the characters is a life coach. And they spend a fair amount of time making fun of that.
Sure. I still don't like saying that because I have that thought of what it is in my head as well.
Really?
Oh yeah. I still, even now saying I'm a life coach, I'm like, oh, because I have the same thing. I'm like, oh, it sounds weird.
I sort of feel like that about the word influencer. Like,
oh yeah.
I don't
like it.
I don't like it at all, because I feel like it's not at all what I stand for.
Exactly.
And I had an amazing conversation with Eva Nobilizada about it on this show a few weeks ago. And, but I also have a really hard time when people ask me what I do for a living. You know, I don't know how to encapsulate all the things that I do into a title. Because when I say I'm a journalist, people want to know where they can read my work. When I say that I'm a TV host, they think that means I'm on television.
Yep.
You know, when I say that I'm a professional Broadway fan, which really is the closest thing, then they're like, how do you do that? And how do you monetize it? And like, I don't want people asking me about my money. That feels uncomfortable to me.
Yep.
And really, the best way to describe it is that I have, it turns out, had influence over the industry through a million different means.
Yep.
And people now, I mean, I could say I'm a consultant, I guess, but that doesn't feel right either.
But it's also kind of shying away from what you actually are. You know what I mean? It's like,
What am I, though?
I don't know. Maybe you're an influencer.
Well,
maybe
I'm an enthusiast.
You're
I
your
like to
own
say
version.
I'm an enthusiast. I just try to come up. I'm a professional enthusiast. I mean, that's the key. Everything that I do is about my personal, my personal superpower, which is spreading joy through contagious enthusiasm. But I need to find an answer.
Did you work with a life coach on that?
I read a lot of books. Like I spent a year self-teaching myself how to it started with Carol Dweck's Mindset, and it was very tied into my work at Mark Fisher Fitness. But I have spent,
they're all coaches.
I did this experiment I called the Mastery Journey, where I just spent hours and hours a day for a year trying to become and pushing myself outside my comfort level to become the best possible version of myself. And what I've really learned is there's no, that the better I get, quote unquote, better I get, the deeper I realize that hole is, and the more I see that I like more, you know, it's like, you're like, I reached the top of the mountain. Oh, nope. This was a foothill.
Damn.
But the view's pretty great from up here. And now I can't wait to see what's up that next level.
Well, and the next mountain is actually more climbable now because you've climbed the foothill.
Maybe it's going to teach me a completely different skill. Maybe this one's an ice mountain, and like I never trained in like ice climbing, but I getting up that foothill, I learned how to, you know, whatever, like go bouldering. And I didn't know how to go bouldering before either. So if I can learn bouldering, I can learn ice climbing.
Yeah.
I'm a very metaphorical thinker.
Oh, girl,
and
I'm
it can get
deeply it's all I do.
But I will tell you that I think that maybe the next step for me is working with a life coach. And so consider this an audition.
Woo! Ooh, honey.
Did I just put the pressure on?
Not at all, please. I know how to do auditions. Speaking of auditions.
Yes, this is not a detour. This is something, I mean, it is, but this is more like a day trip.
Yeah.
We are going to get back on the timeline of your career.
Yeah.
We've paused at I'm on the side of a bus, Kinky Boots.
Yeah.
We've gotten a preview of going to school.
Yeah.
But we can't skip over the chapter of Kinky Boots where you nailed your audition in the most unlikely way.
It's Broadway legend at
Give
this
it
point,
to me.
is what I like to tell myself in my own head, even if it's
It
not true.
is.
Yeah.
I love the story. I tell this story at parties.
Yes, spread it. And my goal is to hear this story from someone else told to me, and then they don't know it was me.
That they're like,
it
did you
was.
hear about
Did you
this?
hear about this guy? So let's get in, shall we?
Let's do it.
Now, I've told this story a couple times, so it may sound scripted, but it's also the truth. So there I was. I was ready to go in for Kinky Boots, Mover's Call, and I had already done a singer's call or two, and I'm like, will own up to that. I'm a fantastic singer. So a singer's call, I'm like, yes, the show is mine. Here we go.
And you knew you had the legs. And
I knew I had the legs.
Like you'd
but
been
I
typed
didn't-
in.
Yeah, but I didn't really know all of the magic drag that was like
Yeah, it's
inhabiting
funny.
my body. I didn't know how
You
hot
didn't?
I was going to be as a
You
woman.
hadn't, dude.
I had a thought, but I had never done drag.
You'd never
before.
done drag.
No, never.
Did you have facial hair at the time?
I don't think so, because I was doing Spider-Man at the time, so I had to be pretty clean shaven.
Right, if you were going to be playing a high school student.
Yeah, exactly. It was a shave it down, Kyle. So it was I went in for the movers call, and I called my agent and was like, is this a dance call or like a movers call? I was like, Kyle, it's a movers call. You'll be fine, because I'm not a dancer. I'm not
so
a dancer.
sick of people who dance on Broadway telling me they're not dancers.
Okay,
I'm
but-
not
okay.
a dancer. I can't do a step ball change. That is what not a dancer looks like. If you have just been on the side of a bus for your dance track in a Broadway
was
musical,
all a
then
bamboozle.
you are a dancer.
It was all a bamboozle, and
You
I'll
might
tell you
not
why.
be. You might not be
Right,
the
a dancer,
best
dancer. We'll call it capital
but
D, dancer.
I'm so sick of that. People
Okay.
who are like, "Oh, I don't really sing," and they're like in a musical singing a solo.
Right.
I don't accept it. Okay, anyway,
I'm not. Okay,
back
how
to
about
the
this?
day trip.
I'm not like
Dance instructor.
dance instructor, although I have taught dance classes now at this point. So I go in, and there's like 60 guys in the room ahead of me. There's like 60 guys in the holding room that I'm going into, and there's probably like 60 guys more coming, auditioning for 6 roles. I walk into the holding room, and the guys, everyone who was there, their thighs were bigger than my entire body, and they were like stretching their leg up over their head. And I was like,
I want to be in that room.
well, not if you're trying to compete with them.
Fair enough. I just want to watch.
And I was like, this doesn't feel like a mover's call. I'll be fine. That's fine. It's fine. I'll be fine. Walk into the audition room, and all the 60 guys who are leaving are sweating buckets. There's a guy being helped out by 2 people holding a bag of ice on his hamstrings, crying. And Jerry Mitchell goes, warm up your hammies, honey. Honey, everybody, warm them up. Warm up your hammies. And I was like, oh no, this is not a mover's call. I'm screwed. This is bad. So we start the combination, and it was like the beginning of the finale of Kinky Boots. And I was like, okay, I can do this. Whew. Okay, Kyle, you really talked yourself up on
and
that
the
one.
finale is the
If you hit the dust, let
yeah,
me
it's the scene that takes place on the stage in the
Milan.
fashion show in Milan. Yeah.
Exactly. And then it gets into a double inside pirouette, which I can't do, into a cartwheel, which I can't do, into the splits, which I deeply, capital D, underlined, cannot do.
Cartwheel into splits.
Double into cartwheel into splits.
What's a double?
A double pirouette, like a double turn.
See, I don't know this stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not a dancer.
Yeah. A double turn into cartwheel into splits, right?
Oh my gosh.
And I honestly remember the voice in my head. There was a voice in my head, and it was like a little whisper, and it sounded something like this. You are going to look so stupid. Everyone in this room is going to laugh at you. Jerry Mitchell is standing there watching you, and you're going to look dumb. You should take your stuff, find your bag, sneak out the nearest door, and go get a margarita, because you don't deserve to be here. And I was like, you're right. Yep, I'm going to look really stupid. I hate this. And I grabbed my bag. I shit you not. I grabbed my bag, and I started walking towards the door. And another voice, I don't know where it came from, but another voice came into my head and was like, stop it.
Was it Oprah?
No, it was me.
Oh, yay, that's so much better.
It was me
I was
mixed
just-
with my mom, honestly, a little bit. There was mom in there, Melanie. And the voice was like, you are not going to chicken out. You're better than this. You can either not do well at this dance call and hate every second of it, or you can not do well at this dance call and find a way to have fun and like show them your weird, authentic, kooky, honest, vulnerable self. You pick, Kyle. That's very Melanie Post. Kyle, you get to choose. You choose. So I was like, okay, I choose voice number 2. And I had a piece of gum with me. I don't know why. I had a piece of gum with me because I love a prop. And I threw the piece of gum into my mouth, and they call us up in groups of 3. So now it's everybody watching. Everybody who wants your role is watching you with a smile, secretly hoping that you fall. And it's me in the center, a guy to my right, and a guy to my left, and Jerry Mitchell, Tony Award-winning director, choreographer, watching the whole thing. So the choreography starts, and I'm chomping my gum. I'm like, oh, I do a Hail Mary. I'm like, okay, here we go. I chomp the gum. I'm doing the choreography I can do with a big, like, ditzy Lisa Kudrow smile on my face. Like, woo!
Did they tell you to bring personality to your angel?
The breakdown for the role said a true actor, singer, dancer, a true triple threat. This ain't no job for no wallflower. If you think you're Beyonce, you're close. That is what the breakdown for the show said.
That's amazing.
Okay, so that like granted me some permission.
Yeah. Because I
and-
feel like there are other dance calls where you'd go in and the idea would be to be in perfect step,
chorus line.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly. Like Rockettes.
Yes. So I had some room here. You know what I mean? They granted me some permission. And I'm chomping the gum, and I'm doing the part that I can do, right? And then when it gets into the double turn, into the cartwheel, into the splits, I pull my gum out of my mouth, twist it around my finger, and say, work! And watch the other 2 on the right and the left of me do the choreography that I can't do while I'm standing there twirling my gum. The choreography continues, and I like went totally blank. I went to like white room. I turned around. My friend Joey Taranto was in the audition with me, and he went, "I hate you. I hate you so much." I was like, "Why?" Because he's a mover as well, not a dancer. Love you, Joey. He was like, "I hate you." I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Because while they were doing their splits and all of that, Jerry Mitchell was looking and laughing at you." So
I just got goosebumps.
I called my agent and I was like, I'm either never going to work in this town again. Talk about like taking risks. I'm either never going to work in this town again or I'm going to book this role. And he was like, okay, well, let's see what happened.
So you were like, I want my agent to hear about this from me.
You need to hear, here's what happened
from...
before you hear it from all of the people who are going to tell you how inappropriate I was in that room. Potentially. And the risk that I took. And like, ooh, he fell flat on his face. Never bring him in for another Jerry Mitchell show. Right. And I booked the job.
And so did Joey Taranto. And the first day of rehearsal, the associate choreographer came up to me and said, in all of my years teaching Broadway auditions, I have never seen anyone take the chances that you took in that room. When you took that gum out of your mouth and twirled it around your finger, that's what booked you the show. So if you had walked out because you couldn't do the steps,
I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't.
And it's not like you just went in and, oh, I love it. You were like, no, will not, or I can't, will not be the end of this story.
No, and
I
actually,
will ask
like,
myself what I can do. And lean into that.
That's it. What I can do is have fun. What I can do is like show them what a quirky, fun person I am. What I can do is like highlight what I find as a strength of mine is that I am like very present and very authentic and very like willing to go there. Right. So I can show them that. Because I can't do the double or the cartwheel or the splits, but I'll show them what I got that they might not even know that they wanted. And
can you still not do those things?
No.
Have you ever like worked on it?
No, it's not. That's not my ministry. That's a Billy Porter saying. That is not my ministry. That is not my ministry.
I believe that you meant to say Emmy Award winner
Yes.
Billy Porter.
Emmy.
We don't get
Tony,
to talk about him. Grammy.
Yeah, Grammy Award. He's almost to an EGOT.
That's right.
Billy Porter. The mistress. So in that moment, I really learned, I got deeply. I was like, oh, weird actually works.
Hashtag weird actually works.
Hashtag weird works. And I did the show for 7 years. I did over 2,500 shows of Kinky Boots. I was never a capital D dancer. I took whatever weird thing that I found in that audition room and I brought it into my performance.
But guess who ended up on the side of the bus?
Guess who ended up on the side of the bus? And guess who ended up being able to buy an apartment from the weird choice that he made in an audition room instead of walking out and getting a margarita?
Oh my gosh.
The answer is me.
I hope at some point you got yourself a margarita to toast
so many margaritas.
Now he owns a margarita.
I own a margarita hut.
Yeah.
Kyle Post Margarita Hut. And life coaching. I coach people on in a margarita hut. No, I'm kidding.
I mean,
it's a niche.
I'd sign up for it.
It's a niche. So,
coaching and cocktails with Kyle Post.
Well, listen, that could get dangerous real quick. So I took the promise from 16-year-old Kyle of, okay, if I'm going to help somebody, if I get to the point where I can help somebody, I'm going to help somebody. Mm-hmm. I took that. I took the learning how to be a coach, and I took the life lesson of weird works and can actually bring crazy artistic success. And I made a program called the Weirdos Way that we're talking about. That's a 6-week online group coaching program where weirdos like myself unite like a strange psychopathic cohort of strange, weird, eccentric performers that A, get to be in a group and not feel so damn alone. B, get to learn things like, hey, what is your self-sabotaging voice? Mine was, you're going to look stupid. That's mine. That's my biggest one. You're going to look stupid.
I know what mine is.
What's yours?
Everyone is secretly mad at you.
Oh, everyone is secretly mad at you. Yeah, and those voices actually, sometimes there's 10% truth. It's not it's the biggest lie.
So 10% of the world is secretly mad at you.
Sometimes people might be mad at you.
Yeah.
That's valid. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I might look stupid. That's valid. The problem is when we take that tiny truth and turn it into the capital T truth of you are going to look stupid, so you shouldn't do the thing that you love. People are mad at you, so you shouldn't go talk to the people that you love and that matter to you.
Can you read this second bullet point on your website about you will?
Yeah, you will put those pesky voices that say you suck a bag of dicks to rest. They'll never go away, mind you. They're never ever going to go away. They'll be there with you till the day you die because they think they're keeping you safe.
I call them passengers. She can ride in the car with you, and
you're allowed.
And she might take the wheel at some point, but you know how to get it back, or you learn how to get it back, and ultimately only you get to drive.
Well, and that's eventually what the Weirdos Way.
This is why I want to be a coach.
Yeah, well, you've learned so many lessons already. Actually, I
actually just did a TED Talk, a TEDx Broadway talk about my experience with crippling depression, and I call her my passenger.
Yeah,
but anxiety is another passenger, and
they're all on the bus.
Voices are, this is a crowded clown car.
It is, but here's what we can do, and that. This is what I feel like people don't have the training to do because it's not natural for humans to do it. It's natural for us to listen to those voices, the pesky voices, and think that they're the truth. Mm-hmm. The good news is there's another voice in you. This was the voice in me that was like, hey, Kyle, you're not going to quit. You're not going to walk out of that room. Here's what you're going to do because you're better than that. There's another voice that holds you with clarity and certainty and has been there and back again and is like, we got this. That voice can drive the bus. There can be other passengers, but if that voice is driving the bus, you are so much closer and more on your way than if the pesky voices are taking you down every damn detour. Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at the website.
Yeah.
KylePostCoaching.com is the main site. And then if you just click on Weirdos Way, or you can go directly to KylePostCoaching.com/Weirdos Way. Put your weird to work. I love it. I feel like you should be spelling work with an E.
I considered it.
Weird to work.
But when I say work, I mean actually work.
Of course.
Make money on your weird.
Dream of the kind of artistic success that you could buy a house from.
Hello.
Yes.
I did it.
You did it. I'm proud of you. It's 6 weeks, and it's 6 weeks on specific dates.
Yep.
In November and December, starting November 5th. You say it's entirely online.
Yep.
What does that mean? Are you doing FaceTime calls?
Yeah, it's a Zoom call. So if people are not familiar with Zoom, which I hadn't heard of before,
it's like a video conferencing.
It's a video conferencing, right? So I will be leading the video conference, but then you'll see the face of every other weirdo who is a part of the group, and everyone can participate. It's like being in a group together, but all you need is your computer screen and an internet connection.
So you can do it from anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world,
as long as it's not. Well, I guess even if it is the middle of the night
if
where
you
are
internet, and if you have a computer, and every session is recorded and only kept for the people that are in the group, so that if you miss a session for any reason, you can go back and watch it and still
get the value. Have you ever considered doing it in person instead?
I have. This is a pilot program, so this is my let's see how this goes. let me have space to experiment and like let me have space to Julie Taymor fall flat on my face. Do you know what I mean? Like you said, it's the only way you can create something really awesome. So the pilot program for me is online, and what excites me about it being online is that I can have a client on the West End. You know what I mean? I can have someone who is maybe still in college. I can have people who don't necessarily all live in New York City, and it can be a global community of strange people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But maybe I'll do it in person someday.
Well, and maybe it depends on who shows up, like who signs up, right? Like
Totally.
if you end up with, let's say, I don't know how big your groups are, but let's say
10.
Okay, so let's say you
No
have
more
10
than 10.
people and they all are based in New York City.
Yeah.
Then maybe you'll be like, you know what?
Good to know.
We're going to, it sounds like it's customizable.
Yep.
The reason I ask is because I've done some group coaching programs, and I have had so much better luck when they were in person.
Good to know.
I'm such a pleaser, and I always want, because the currency in my household growing up was like cleverness and pride. Like the biggest thing was if I could make my parents proud of me, and I project that onto whoever I'm working with. Like this is why I work better as a collaborator than as a solo entrepreneur, because when it's just for me, I don't know, I'll do it tomorrow. But like if I get to show up and be like, look how hard I worked on this and look at how much growth I've done, I will literally
You'll
grow.
do more. Yeah.
I will grow in service of somebody else more than I'll grow in
Well,
service
I do
of
one-on-one
myself.
coaching as well. So alongside the online group thing of Weirdos Way, I do one-on-one coaching as well. And sometimes I'm finding with people signing up for Weirdos Way, they're like, that sounds awesome. I would actually like someone to be accountable, just me and you. Because I was speaking with someone just the other day who was like the same thing. They're like, I'm a pleaser, and in a group, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to let other people talk. And I know for myself that is not going to serve me.
I'm the opposite. I go in and I start teaching the class. I'm like, well, here's a lesson that I learned that might be a good one for you guys.
It's almost like you're a host of a radio show or something.
I mean, it almost is like that.
Like that's a strength for you.
I was talking to somebody the other day. They were like, if social media hadn't come along, like, what would you be doing? And I was like, well, I'd be hosting radio. And they said, if you never could get into radio, what would you be doing? And I literally showed them shelves and shelves and shelves of journal entries. I used to write in my journal 3 times a day, not because I made myself, but because that was my broadcasting platform before I had a broadcasting platform. I just needed to barf my thoughts out, even if it was for an audience of literally 0. Like I never went back and read them.
Yeah.
And nobody else was reading them, but I've been broadcasting since the day I came out of my mother's
And now
body.
you get paid to barf your thoughts.
Well, so here's the story about that. I make this show with DNR Studios, and I said yes to them when they asked me because they were like, you can own it, you can do whatever you want. That also means that I pay for the studio space. I pay for the web server. It's their studio space, and they're longtime friends of mine and have made it really easy for me to do this, but it is very much a labor of love.
Yeah.
I don't have any advertisers on the show, but if you know anybody who wants to advertise, I'm like, I'm starting to now I'm 50 episodes deep and I'm ready to talk about like how to, now I have a backlog of be like, this is what
Here's what I do.
Yeah, this is what the show is. And I also want to be in the same way I was very careful about who to partner with on a podcast, because people have been telling me for years they need to do one. I want to be careful about what advertisers I choose. I want it to be organizations that I actually use, people I actually work with, companies I truly believe in, instead of being like,
Laura Heywood podcast sponsored by Chick-fil-A.
Oh my gosh, Equinox. we could go forever on, and like Mark Fisher Fitness doesn't sponsor me, but I believe in them, so I talk about them all the time. And that's the kind of company I'd want to take money from, is somebody that is authentically. Anyways, that is all to say, there is a way people can help me make money from this.
And what's that?
Which is that you can get every episode a week early if you instead of or in addition to subscribing through Apple Podcasts. If you subscribe through dnrstudios.com,
I'm going to do it right now.
It costs money.
Well, it can't be that much.
It's $6.95 a month.
Okay, well, that's 2 coffees.
Yeah.
I'm just putting it in
dnrstudios.com/Laura.
Listen, us weirdos have to support each other. dnrstudios.com/Laura.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it? Okay,
yeah, and if you hit subscribe, then you get every episode a week early. But more importantly, I think you help me keep making it. Yeah. So a lot of people who do that actually listen to it when the free podcast, they listen to it through Apple Podcasts, but it's sort of like a Patreon model, you know?
With support by viewers like you.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, maybe
PBS.
I need to start adding that in. And, you know, like, if I can get enough $6.95 a month subscribers, and by the way, that includes 12 other shows on the DNR platform,
cool.
not just mine. But if I can get enough, I want to hire you as my coach.
Ooh. Uh-huh.
I need to wait till I get back from some travel I'm doing, but like, if this was an in-person group platform, will you just let me know if you get 9 other people who are all based in New York? Let me know.
Got it.
I did try to do an online program once, and I am such a multitasker that if I wasn't in the room with people, forced to put my phone away, I'd be even on a web conference. I'd like be folding laundry or like checking a text off to the side outside.
There's positives and negatives to everything. It's
but really, I would like to work with you one-on-one.
Yeah, I would like to work with you as well.
So we'll see.
My weird soul saw your weird soul.
Oh my gosh, did we ever? Can I tell people about the last time we saw each other?
Yeah.
So coming home from Times Square one night after the theater, I was on the platform at 42nd Street, and I saw this tall, handsome drink of water from the back, and I was like, who is that? And then I was like, oh my gosh, I think that's Kyle Post. And so I went up and I was like, excuse me, sir. And he was like, hi.
I was good and tipsy as well, by the way. I had been out. Yeah.
So I'd been at the theater. You had been out working. Not working, but working.
W-E-R-K.
And it turned out we were going to the same destination. We live in the same neighborhood. And so we caught up on the platform. We caught up on the train. We got off the train together and we were walking. And do you remember exactly what happened? I just know that there was someone who
Someone was catcalling you.
Yeah.
They were catcalling you, and they were on a bicycle, and they were riding the bicycle backwards once they saw you and catcalling you like as you were walking, so they had to stay in your face.
Oh, it was so uncomfortable and yet so common. And I think I took your arm, or you put your arm around me, and I was like, "You're my boyfriend right now," and you just, without missing a beat, you made me feel safe, and the guy took off, and I just that felt like a very, very vulnerable moment, and you protected me.
Well, not to make this about me,
make it about you,
but I like to think that that's what a really good life coach actually is.
Aww.
Somebody who is next to somebody and they see the bullshit heading their way and they go, okay, thank you. Excuse me. I'm with her right now. That is not where we're headed. Here's where we're headed. Let's go there together.
Yeah.
And I will drop you off at your door.
What a perfect metaphor that was.
I know. We did not plan that, people, but it's true. When we say the idea of a life coach, to me, that is the best analogy for a life coach. Yeah. Someone alongside you, helping you get the things that you say you want to get in a safe, a little bit scary, vulnerable place.
Yeah, I think what's so scary about that kind of experience for me is that I don't know how much danger I'm actually in, and I'm talking about when someone is following me on the street.
Yeah.
I think that, I deal with it all the time, and I don't usually have a 6'7" person walking around with me ready to. And I kind of hate the idea that the only way that guy would leave me alone was because I belonged to some other man.
Yeah, we talked about that too.
Me saying
what?
That me just being I'm not interested, go away, was not enough. But when I was your property, that let you go away.
Mine.
But I think that the difference is that was a true physical present, a true danger.
Yep.
But often the voices in our heads trigger that same brain chemistry that says you're actually
in real danger.
You're actually and our like I said, I'm really obsessed with brain chemistry, and our bodies don't actually know the difference between when we're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger and when we're about to go give a speech.
Yep.
Because the messaging from our brain chemicals and our body chemistry says you are in danger the same way.
And it takes rewiring and actually like creating new neural pathways if we want to get dorky.
Neuroplasticity is my favorite.
It takes neuroplasticity, which means like finding a new pathway to the thing that you say that you want to get and not taking the way that you always used to get and trying new things for your brain to be more like elastic. And
I'm
like,
gonna tell you,
I'm actually safe. I can do this.
I just learned this amazing like hack, neuroplasticity hack for anxiety, which is, okay, so like I said, our bodies don't know that we're not being chased by a tiger.
Yep.
Even when it's like, I worked with a public speaking expert right before my TED Talk, my recent TED Talk, who happens to be a friend of mine from high school. But anyway, he taught me that if you stand with your legs apart and your arms in the air, your hands up, like
power pose,
like power pose, but like the top of a jumping jack.
Yes.
That your body knows that you must not be being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, because when you put your hands up, you are actively not protecting yourself from danger. When we feel danger, we close up.
Yeah.
And when we don't feel danger, we allow ourselves to be open. And you can actually twist that on its head by making yourself as open as possible. And your brain goes, somewhere in that animal brain goes, oh, well, we must not truly be in danger, because if we were, we would not allow ourselves to stand like this.
I love that.
Isn't that amazing?
Well, because I do that with clients, but I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
That like, I think I know our body has way more information than we give it credit for.
Absolutely.
A lot of times we think our brain is in control, and actually our bodies have so much info.
Have you read Dr. John Sarno's books about the mind-body connection?
No.
You must.
I'm writing it down.
I was scheduled for my second back surgery, and I ended up recovering completely without surgery as a result of these books.
Okay, I need to. What is it?
It's called Healing Back Pain. Is the main one. People think it's quack science, but these are the same people who will say they have a stress headache. They just can't accept that they have like suppressed rage that is giving them. It's not that it makes them have back pain or wrist pain or shoulder pain. It's that when you have physical damage, your body transfers where it stores its.
Yeah,
it sounds very.
Our body has information. It does.
It's the way I think about it is, it's like you have a nerve. For me, it was my lower back. The nerve has one connection in my lower back and one in my brain.
Yep.
For me, I was going to have there was a piece of bone that was poking the nerve.
Ooh.
It needed to be taken out, right?
Yeah.
Well, then it turned out that little piece of bone, it was actually a piece of disc, which is more like, it's not actually bone, it's more like cartilage.
Yeah.
But anyway, that apparently got reabsorbed by my body, but I still had all the pain. And the doctor was like, there's nothing to take out. There's nothing physically to be done in your lower back. However, there's another, so we can't do anything at that end of the nerve.
Right.
But there are things that you can do at the other end of the nerve, the brain end of the nerve. It doesn't mean there's nothing wrong with my back.
Sure.
There was something, but there wasn't anything fixable.
Yep.
So my only choice was to focus on the end of the nerve that was in my brain.
Yeah.
And I do the
What you could
craziest
actually
things
control.
like, I'm going to do it right now, see if you can hear it. I can hold a pencil or a chopstick or something in the back of my teeth and chomp down on it, and that fools your brain into thinking you're smiling. So even if you're so sad or under so much stress that you can't physically smile, if you pull your lips back into like a sneer and you pull your cheeks back, even by force with a freaking chopstick, it'll stimulate dopamine in your brain and trick you into thinking that you're happier, and it'll actually make you happier.
Yep.
I know so many people who say things like, yeah, but that's fake. That's not real. But it's like the same as if you're hungry, you do what you need to do.
Honey, fake it till you make it is actually a real thing as well.
It's not even fake. It's like, to be happy means you have certain chemicals going on in your brain.
Yep.
So however you get them there.
Hack.
If you just have to decide, do you want to define yourself as a person who's unhappy, or do you want to define yourself as a person who's constantly striving for happiness?
Pause. Can you say that again?
You have to decide whether you want to define yourself as a person who is unhappy or as a person who is constantly striving for happiness.
Bitch, you put me through it. That's it.
I should be a coach, right?
I mean, you have many knowledges.
I know. I've worked really, really hard.
I can tell.
And this is why, so you could say, I don't need a coach because look how good I am at this
Totally.
stuff. However, if you look at the most successful people in the world, whether it's someone like Bill Gates or whether it's someone like LeBron James, all of these people work with coaches.
Yeah, you think they don't have someone along their side holding their arm saying,
this is when it's the most
"Get out."
important to get coached, is when you are at the elite level. And I'm not saying I'm at the elite level. Sometimes I feel like, man, I look up from the top of my little foothill and I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, but guess what? CEOs think that too.
That's right. And there are athletes that have been born great. They've been naturals, and they think that means that they don't need to get coached. When the fact is, the people who actually dominate on a long timeline are the ones who are naturals, maybe, and they are motivated, maybe, and they work with someone who pushes them to constantly be better.
Yeah. You watch RuPaul's Drag Race, right?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. There is
But I
no
didn't start until a
question.
couple
There is
seasons
no
ago.
question in my mind that RuPaul has or has had a life coach in their life in the past, because many of those challenges, I'm like, "Oh, you had a life coach.
Yeah.
You have had a life coach." Like people at the top of their game absolutely have coaches.
So let's just remind people where they can find the Weirdos Way.
Yeah.
KylePostCoaching.com/WeirdosWay. You know what I want to do, Kyle? Yeah. Because we only have a couple minutes left, but I have this, it's not a specific group. It's just every once in a while I hear from a young woman who is in this place of sadness and despair that I spent so much of my life. And they feel kind of angry at me that I have this life that they want. And I've always been like, if I could get those girls together, and men too, young men, but I tend to hear from young women, but people who are at this place that I was and like coach them through, but I don't have the credentials. I don't have that. But I wonder whether you and I could partner on something
that could be
where
fun.
like if I can provide you the clientele that you will help, that I can be like,
well, we make
the
sweet,
guest
weird
coach.
magic together.
We do.
So yeah.
We do. KylePostCoaching.com/WeirdosWay. I just have to say that whether this becomes an official professional relationship or not, you're stuck with me because I love you, and especially we live in the same neighborhood.
Yes.
There's no excuse for us to not be hanging out all the time.
Agreed.
And we'll inspire each other.
That's it. I love it. And thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, of course. You're welcome anytime.
Careful what you say. I'm going to show up here.
That's exactly what I say to
I'll
people.
show up at your door.
Well, we'll keep in touch. I like the idea of, maybe we set something up where we can take some calls and, we let people call in and ask for.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Like a little coach's corner.
Kyle's coaching corner.
Laura Heywood Interviews presents. I mean, I'm not against that idea.
The Weirdos, I'm thinking of a corner word that starts with a W. We'll workshop it. The Weirdos Workshop. Who knows?
Yeah. We'll look at broadcasting terms and figure it
We've got work
out.
to do.
In the meantime, go to KylePostCoaching.com/WeirdosWay. And to support me, go to DNRstudios.com/Laura.
Yes.